we could position Kuya as a primary silver producer and be part of a very small elite group of companies.
Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics. Today, I am happy to be joined by David Stein of Kuya Silver, which is a company I think you're going to be hearing a lot more about, certainly with the developments in the silver world and growing awareness on what has brought so many intelligent people into the silver space. Why I left Wall Street to study silver, because I thought whenever this finally goes, is going to be quite well worth the wait. So David, you're one of the people who is going to be counted on to bring the world silver so we can still have electronics and go green and solar panels and coins and everything else. So welcome on in, and how are you today?
Thank you, Chris. I'm very well. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here because, again, a lot of the silver mining companies, even in the silver space, people are new, yet all the people coming in from the mainstream that are new to silver. So perhaps you could start just with the history of the mine, how Kuya got involved, what led that mine to be available, and take it from there.
Okay, sure, great. So our flagship asset is the Bethany silver mine in Peru. It's been producing, at least recorded to have been producing since 1977, although there's some pits at surface that we think could be hundreds of years old. So the mine was producing, kind of at a small scale, growing little by little over the decades. And the former owners that we bought the mine from, they took over, I guess, about 12 years ago. They started to modernize it even more, to the point where they were doing some toll milling. So producing this very high grade silver polymetallic ore from the mine, which is what it's known for, and then having that processed at other mines to turn it into concentrate. They made some money doing that back when silver prices were higher. When you're toll milling, you're always incurring much higher costs, though, because of the additional trucking, and you have to pay the other mine to run your ore. So there's all these extra costs that that you wouldn't otherwise have if you, for example, had your own plant. When the price turned down, they ran into a little bit of trouble, and we were introduced to the project a few years later. I looked at it. I saw the potential for, obviously, to put a plant there, expand production, and really unlock a huge amount of value. Very exciting, long-term exploration potential there. And, my background is somewhat, technical and from the investment industry. I'm sort of a combo or a hybrid that way. And one thing I know about the silver business is that there are actually very few silver companies that actually are mining or producing. There's a lot of guys who have byproduct silver that produce mostly gold or something else. But we could position Kuya as a primary silver producer and be part of a very small elite group of companies. And so I jumped on that opportunity, and we've been working on it ever since.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with what you're saying about how it's a small space. So in terms of the subset of silver companies, can you talk about how the grade, the veins compare to some of the other projects that are out there?
Well, I don't have an exhaustive list of all the mines that are out there, but I think ours would be one of the higher grade mines out there, with a historical head grade of about 15 ounces per ton, or sort of 500 and change grams per ton. And then we've got lead, zinc, copper, and gold byproducts on top of that. So it is a primary silver mine, but there's other metals in there that contribute to the profit and the revenue. There's sort of in the silver world, you sometimes get just silver gold veins that don't have any base metals, and then you have the polymetallic veins that have usually can have all 5 metals: lead, zinc, copper, plus the gold and silver. So that's what we have, and as I said, I think our veins would be among the higher grade out there, and that's why we believe will be a very low cost mine when we restart production.
Yeah, and when you do get to that point, what would best case full production look like? What would that come out to?
So we actually permitted 350 ton per day plant. We got our EIA approved last year, which is a major permit, to get in Peru. And so based on that throughput and our head grades that I mentioned earlier, we'd be producing, about 1.8 to 2 million ounces a year of pure silver, and then about 2.5 million equivalent silver on the other metals, the byproducts. So yeah, that's what we'd be producing, and at low cost, that could be that will be very, very profitable.
And about what percent do you expect to be silver in terms of percent of revenue?
Current metal prices, it's about 65
Hmm.
percent. Although we think silver is going to go way higher, so it'll end up being 70 or 75%.
Well, that is certainly good news to my ears. And in terms of plans for expansion, I mean, is there additional resource potential? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have this basically the swarm of veins very close to surface. So that's where we would start mining. The veins are open along strike and at depth. So it's very kind of easy for us to know where to drill next. And we just be following the veins deeper. Well, that's what at depth means. And then also along strike. So basically following the veins along their path. And by doing so, we think we can get multiples of the current resource, or the historical resource that we had when we bought the mine. So yeah, we would be looking at once we do a bit more work on the resource modeling over the next year or so, we would look at an increased throughput or a second expansion of the mine, perhaps in 2023 or something like that. And yeah, we think we could produce more, definitely more than the 2 million that we're going to start off with. And as to how much, that I guess depends on the exploration success.
Well, that will be fun to follow. And along those lines, what are the boxes you have to check off to get there before you hit construction that people can follow and look for the progress?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we are already well on the path. The EIA was really the big permit that we needed. So we got that last year. I think going forward, we're looking, there's some minor approvals that we need before we can actually start moving dirt around. And, we'll do that. We're finishing our detailed engineering right now, and then we'll file everything with the government. We're in the process of doing that right now. So yeah, I think we're well on the way. We will need to tackle a financing at some point in the next few months. That's probably the other major milestone that people can watch for. But other than that, there isn't a whole lot of hurdles left for us.
Okay. And any drilling programs coming up or anything to keep an eye on there?
Yeah, I mean, so we're actually, while we're building the mine, we're going to be drilling at the same time. So we're going to be sort of generating, development news, and getting people excited about the production and profit that we'll be generating, towards or early next year. At the same time, we'll be drilling, and the idea there is to, kind of confirm and then start expanding the resource. And so we'll start that very soon. And I think we'll end up probably just keep drilling throughout the year. We do have a first phase or phase one program planned, but I would expect we'll end up just keep drilling, and just as I mentioned earlier, going deeper to test the depth of the veins, and then going along strike to extend them further to the east. And so yeah, we'll be drilling.
Okay. And in terms of expansion, you were telling us last week about the new Silver Kings deal. Can you remind folks what happened there and what to watch out for?
Sure. We acquired another project in Ontario, Canada, and so we acquired a section of properties from a company called First Cobalt, which we're calling the Silver Kings project, of which there's sort of two parts of it. There's the Kerr project, which is 100% Kuya, and then the JV, which is going to be we're earning into 70% of that. So on that area, or in that project, we're going to, focus on the Kerr project first, the 100% owned part. And there are a number of high grade hits, silver hits that were intersected in the past few years that were never followed up on because they were frankly looking for cobalt. And we think we can go in there and drill out some tonnage and follow these veins, kind of what we're doing in Peru. It's a little earlier stage, so a few years behind Peru in terms of development. But this is a historical mining camp that was mined for 80 years, was probably at its time in the 20th century, one of, or perhaps even the largest silver producing camp in the world. And it's very little work has been done on the silver for the last 20, 30 years. So it's an exciting opportunity to basically, get in there. And we're really looking at it, like kind of like the old timers did. We're looking for high grade. The tonnage doesn't have to be huge for us to get to a sort of a profitable or economically significant deposit. And we want to get into production as quickly as possible and sort of make that our second mine.
Okay, that makes sense. And I remember you mentioned last week that a lot of people had looked at that property, but you saw something a little different. Could you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so the last mines in the district closed in the 80s. And then basically very little work has been done since. I mean, we were surprised. We expected that, that these would have been kicked around more and that there would have been more exploration done, especially, given that there was a big silver market about, 10 years ago. But, that just didn't happen for whatever reason. Probably the best work that's been done recently was the recent Cobalt Exploration. And we were able to use some of that data to understand where the opportunities are for silver, and that's what we're going in and doing now. But yeah, I mean, given how important of a silver producer this was, it's amazing, honestly, that I think that that we've got this opportunity and this huge land package to explore, and it's sort of all ours now.
Yeah, and it just seems like nice timing on that. Again, maybe be careful about timing in the silver market, but seems to be lining up nicely. And anything you could comment on for the Kerr area that you did not mention already? Any other thoughts there?
Well, again, that's our area where we see where there's the most exploration work done. Probably 2/3 or maybe even more of the exploration on the whole package that we're involved in was in that small area. And what we see there is, some of these, drill intercepts where they hit, over 1,000 grams per ton silver, and over meaningful widths. And so what we want to do there is go in and basically, follow those veins and drill it at a shorter spacing. The previous operators, they were really looking for a bulk mining kind of open pit deposit. So their drill spacing was really wide. And so when they hit like a high grade vein like that, it wasn't part of their exploration strategy really. So they didn't ignore it, but they didn't really follow up. So we've got I think tremendous opportunity here, in the very short term. Like, we just closed the deal. We're going to get in there and start drilling right away. So I think we can get going on this and start adding value here very, very quickly.
Well, that is always nice to hear, especially in some of the longer cycles in mining. David, a question that I think you're ready to handle. I like asking some companies, but let's say an investor has a portfolio of mining stocks. They're familiar with what's out there. What would you say to them if they say, why should I sell something else to consider Kuya?
Look, I think the main reason is that we're going to be a silver producer, sooner than almost everyone else, that's not producing today. We're about, 12 months away or so, plus or minus a month here and there from, putting Bethany back into production. So, and that will be meaningful silver production. It will be very profitable. And so I think the risk adjusted reward for owning Kuya here is a lot higher than, let's say, some of the more exploration-y type companies where, they're going from one drill result to the next, but really don't have a near-term plan to put anything into production or make any money. So we've really from day one been very production focused. The exploration is great. It's there. We're very excited about it, but we'll do that while we're getting Bethany into production. So we kind of call that the dual track value creation, in that we've got exploration on one track, we've got production on the other track, and we can do both at the same time. And I think that's what makes Kuya unique.
Well, appreciate that. And perhaps in wrapping up, can you just let folks know how they can get more information if they have questions, where they can get those answered, and the website address?
Yeah, well, we're active on social media, but the best way to find us is on the website. So it's www.kuyasilver.com, Kuya silver.com, and there it is. And on the contact tab, I think you can book a meeting with management. So we've kind of got a scheduling app in there, and that's a great way to learn more about the company. And you can also just email us or sign up for the information. But I think we try and make it easy for people to get a hold of us and to give them more information. We look forward to hearing from you.
Well, I appreciate that, David. And I think people also appreciate that you love silver at heart, as you've talked about on the show and done a lot of research and study into silver, which I think, at least for people like me, goes a long way in looking at the different companies. So thank you again for joining me. We'll look forward to having you back on the show to talk some more silver in these exciting times soon. And thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Chris. My pleasure.